And we had already started rukoo, and I had said some things about rukoo, how it should be, but I didn't give any hadith or much dalil on the matter. I just quickly want to go through some of the things which are regarding rukoo and see where we take them from. So some of the dalail from hadith and Quran for what was said before. Firstly, we said rukoo is fard. And the fardiyya of rukoo and sujood is in the Quran. For example, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ruka'u wasjudu in Surah Al-Hajj. Okay? And we also know from a hadith. This hadith has come in fiqh course many times. Al-musi'u salatahu, or a hadith, Al-musi'u fi salatihi, a person who came and he prayed, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, go back and pray again, you haven't prayed. He came back and he prayed and he said, you haven't prayed. And it happened a few times, and he said, teach me how to pray, and then he gave him the details of how to pray. In that hadith, which hadith becomes the basis of many ahkam in salah, one of the things Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, when he was teaching him salah, he said, ثُمَّ ارْكَعْ حَتَّى تَطْمَئِنَّ رَاكِعًا. Then do rukoo until you are in the calmly staying still in the position, would we call it mi'nan. So from that, the Jamhur, they take this hadith to say that itmi'nan is also fard. Ahnaf say rukoo is fard. The other three madhab say rukoo is fard, plus staying there for a while long enough to complete your tasbih is also fard. That's called itmi'nan. You can't just go Allahu Akbar, Allahu Sami Allah Muhammad. You can't do that. And there is ijma' of all madhahib that rukoo itself is fard. Okay? We did say that the hands, a person should put his hands on his knees. And one of the hadith, which is a very famous hadith of Abu Humayd as-Sa'idi, who is hadith of Sifatu Salat al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, how Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam used to pray. He said, رَأَيْتُهُ إِذَا رَكَعَ, I saw him when he did rukoo, أَمْكَنَ يَدَيْهِ مِنْ رُكْبَتَيْهِ ثُمَّ هَسَرَ ظَهْرَهُ. So, when he bowed down, and Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, the Sahabi saying, for rukoo, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam rested his hands on his knees and he bent his back. Because you can be really like this, looking up and reach for your knees. But he bent his back. How much? That another hadith said his back used to be so straight when he was in rukoo, that if you were to put water in it, the water will stay on it. And another hadith also related to that from Aisha radhiyallahu ta'ala anha, she said, when Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam was in rukoo, his head was not raised up, neither down. It was in the level of his back. So this is all proven from a hadith. Now, I also said the fingers should be split. The fingers should be apart, if you remember. And the dalil for that is that one Sahabi, Uqba bin Amr, وَوَضَعَ يَدَيْهِ عَلَى رُكْبَتَيْهِ وَفَرَّجَ بَيْنَ أَصَابِعِهِ أو بَيْنَ أَصَابِعِهِ مِنْ وَرَاءِ رُكْبَتَيْهِ. So, and then what that means is that his hand, his palm was on the, one thing is to hold the knee, right? He's saying his palm was on the knee and his fingers were split apart, but they were on the side of the knee or was beyond the knee. Yeah, so like this. So that's my knee. So the palm is here and the hands are open, fingers surrounding area. Clear so far? Yeah? And he said, وَقَالَ هَكَذَا رَأَيْتُ رَسُولُ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمْ يُصَلِّي. And this is how I saw Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam pray. And this has been narrated by Ahmad and Nisai. And also other wordings which the scholars use, قَبْضُ رُكْبَتَيْهِ, is to hold the knees with your hands, with the fingers split apart. This is what you do in rukoo. And on the matter of rukoo, once you have done the rukoo, itmi'nan. Itmi'nan, to be staying in that position calmly, not moving, even for a short while, enough to say Subhana Rabbi al-Azim. That is fard for all fuqaha except Ahnaf, they say it's wajib. Okay, Ahnaf, they say it's wajib. What's the difference? Because if you didn't do it, your salah will be void. And Ahnaf say if you intentionally didn't do it, your salah will be void. But if you forgetfully didn't do it, then you can do sajda sahw. Because wajib you can make up a sajda sahw. Other madhahib say you can't make this up. If you remember, a few weeks back, we talked about, I gave a list of 18 wajibs in salah for Ahnaf. In that, I believe number 8 would have been itmi'nan during the all the arkan of salah. Now, itmi'nan in general is wajib in salah everywhere in the madhab of Ahnaf. Others, they say is fard. So in Ahnaf, if someone unintentionally he left out a wajib or he forgot, then he can make it up by sajda sahw. But for other madhahib, you can't make this up. If you don't do it, your salah is not done. Where do they take that from? And why there is a difference? The reason for the difference is that the hadith I mentioned, al-musi'u fi salatihi, the person who came and he prayed, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam told him, you haven't prayed, go back. And then he prayed again, he told him same thing, and then same thing, and then he taught him how to pray. He said, teach me. So we have gone through that hadith before. Because of the wording, ثُمَّ ارْكَعْ حَتَّى تَطْمَئِنَّ رَاكِعًا. This word tatma'inna, it repeats in the hadith. They say because of this it is fard. Because this person, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam made him pray again. He wasn't praying properly. This is the call of Jamhur. Ahnaf say the itminan is not fard. It is wajib. And what's the reason? The reason is, and this has come before as well, and this will come again as well in sajda as well, and throughout the fiqh of Ahnaf. They say, when, and as I explained that when you were explaining Fatiha, why is it not fard, why is it wajib? Same reason, that when something has come in the Quran, for example, in that case was فَقْرَأُ مَا تَيَسَّرَ مِنْهُ. When Allah says read what's easy, then that's fard. To read in the recite in the salah is fard. Fatiha wasn't mentioned there, it's in the hadith. So they say a hadith which is not mutawatir, it's khabar wahid. Ahad hadith cannot change what's in mutawatir and what's in nas of Quran. Same thing here, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu ruk'u, say do rukoo. And even if hadith says do it itmi'nan in rukoo, do calmly and stay in the position and do it, be calm in your rukoo and stay in that position, that cannot make it fard. Because of the same reason, that this is khabar wahid and nas Qur'ani cannot be changed. If you remember when we were doing tafsir here, when we came to the ayah, مَا نَنْسَخْ مِنْ آيَةٍ أَوْ نُنْسِهَا, we said the naskh Nasakh has many meanings. One of the meaning of nasakh is to change something which was fard now became mustahab, or something was mustahab now became fard. That's also nasakh. So something which is not fard, to make it fard. When something, they say that the nasakh of Quran, because Quran is saying do rukoo, that's it. It didn't mention it itminan, and hadith mentioned it itminan. The nasakh of Quran cannot happen from hadith. This is what the Ahnaf say. Am I losing you? Or is that making sense? Making sense? Okay. Okay. That's everything for rukoo. Okay? That's everything for rukoo. We can go on and on, but now we know how to do rukoo, what's the reasoning of it, what's fard of it, and what's wajib of it. I think that's all it's good to know at this stage.